sort of precautions is he going to be taking at his rallies for the safety of the rallygoers?
So we have no rallies announced just yet. You're right about the 2-week timeline that was put forward. But we will ensure that everyone who goes is safe, but no specific announcements on that front. And I would direct you to the campaign for more information on that. Yes.
Yes. Thanks for taking my question. Owen Jensen with EWTN News. We've seen thousands of people in the streets protesting, exercising their constitutional right. Those, of course, doing it peacefully. At the same time, churches in many cases told to limit their gatherings, in some cases to 10 or no more. Does the president see a double standard there, constitutionally speaking? And if, can you explain, please?
There are absolute double standards that we've seen, and that's why the Justice Department set up a task force, if you will, or a group to look at civil liberties as during coronavirus shutdowns. I read about one case where you had an allowance of outside gathering and protest, but indoor churches could not gather, even with socially distanced protocols. He absolutely sees an issue. There have been several cases pointed to where people attending church in their cars were targeted by law enforcement officers. So that's unacceptable. People should be allowed to worship. We have a First Amendment in this country. There's a way to safely do it. I went to Mass and was able to safely attend, distance from people, and there were appropriate protocols that were taken in that case, and that's what we hope to see, as the president made eminently clear a few weeks ago.
Quick follow-up on that. Not too long ago, he asked for all churches to reopen. Is he happy with the progress or no?
He's happy with the progress. I've seen, in fact, that very week, a church that I visited reopened, a church down the road from me. So I think he gave a lot of courage to the faith community to reopen, to do so safely. And look, here we are, I think, 4 weeks later, and we haven't been hearing about, rampant outbreaks in places of worship. The First Amendment's a beautiful thing. People have a right to go to church or mosque or synagogue. Yes.
Yes. Hi, Kayleigh. Thanks. Still on COVID. The president seems pretty unconcerned so far about November and the COVID situation, whether people are going to be afraid to go to the polls or whether there's going to be a lot of delays because of the COVID. He recently said it's a long way off, I think meaning that the pandemic will have died down by then, essentially. But given that it hasn't actually gone away, people are obviously still dying every day and there are some spikes, and it's not that far away, 5 months. Are any measures being taken at all to guarantee that this election is going to go smoothly and everyone who wants to vote can vote?
Yeah, well, I've not seen much criticism of the protest and socially distanced and mitigation efforts. I think there's a way to safely vote if you can safely protest, and that's what the president would like to see. There's a way to safely vote. There's a way to safely go to church, and you're asking a hypothetical about something 5 months from now at a time, ironically, when the media hasn't expressed much outrage about a lack of mitigation efforts taken by some of the protesters. Raquel.
Thank you so much, Kayleigh. 2 questions. First, is the president concerned the protest could lead to another outbreak of coronavirus? And a second question, President Trump said that he does not believe the death toll in coronavirus cases figures from some countries. Does he trust the figure from Brazil? Is the White House concerned that the Brazilian government is hiding information about COVID-19?
So I haven't spoken to him about the Brazil numbers, but I have heard him on several cases, probably at least 5, mention that he'd seen what's going on in Brazil, and he was hurt to see how many people have been affected by COVID down there. So he has mentioned Brazil specifically. I believe he even sent some ventilators to Brazil because we had such an overflow of ventilators here because America really, under the leadership of President Trump, snapped into action and shored up what was supposed to be a ventilator shortage and delivered. This administration delivered. So I would just note that he's mentioned great concern for the people of Brazil.
Kayleigh, just the first question that I asked, is the president concerned the protests could lead to another outbreak of coronavirus?
Now, we're monitoring that. Right now we're encouraged to see that cases have declined month over month, but the vice president, as I walked out here, said the task force is well aware of monitoring individual situations in particular states. Niels.
Kayleigh, thank you. Going back to where you started with the statement about renaming the military bases, if